It's not 5 o'clock, and they don't care. Welcome to Wine to 5. Entertainment, education, and everyday drinking for everyday people. Your hosts are Valerie Caruso and Stephanie Davis, two wine educators who don't need a clock to know when to pour that next glass.
Val, are you ready for me to attempt to recap my European vacation?
I'm ready. I'm as ready as I'll ever be. Listeners, strap in, because here we go.
Well, I was going to actually wear my marathon t-shirt, but I put some good use to that already this week. And I also have a hilarious Oktoberfest t-shirt, and that you'll have to wait to hear what that says. But anyhow, so should we get on with the show? Or
we should, and we should preface by saying that what we're going to do today is, as you know, Steph, a few weeks after this airs, has gotten back from a European vacation, and as far as we know, she hasn't ended up on YouTube. She came back in one piece, but I believe the whole thing started with the Marathon du Médoc. So last I saw, you were taking a pee somewhere in the vines of Bordeaux, and let's pick it up.
I would never do that.
And as soon as we talk about what's in our glasses, we will pick it up from there. How's that?
That sounds like a good deal.
All right.
What's in your glass?
I'm drinking whiskey. Big shock in the middle of the day. This is the Uberach Assemblage single malt whiskey from Alsace. There were 160 bottles of this particular batch. I have bottle number 158, and this is produced by Jean Metzger and distilled by Bertrand. And what's really cool about this whiskey is not just because it's French, and they don't put the E in whiskey, Steph.
Oh.
It's whiskey with a Y, which is interesting because we thought that if there was an E in the country's name, for the most part, there would be an E in whiskey, like in Irish whiskey versus Scottish whiskey. But there is no E. This whiskey was made in, like I said, Alsace, France, and what they do is they age it not only in French oak, but this particular batch was aged in second fill Banyuls barrels.
Cool.
I was like, oh, I found it really cool. Not a lot. I couldn't find a lot on it. I got it from K&L, and this is a beautiful whiskey. It's got a lot of fruit to it. I did read somewhere that Alsace just got an AOC for whiskey too, which I didn't know. So I haven't actually dug up when they got their AOC for whiskey. I thought it was an IGP, but there's probably more information on that. I haven't dug it up for this show, but I will link up a really cool video of the whiskey being made. And if you speak French, you can understand what they're saying. Otherwise, oh, look, cool. There's the still. They use like this copper still. It's twice distilled. I mean, so they go through all this stuff, and you can watch the video. So we'll put it in the show notes, but it is actually a very beautiful, spicy, fruity. When I say fruity, I mean like tree fruits, pears, and things like that. So I really like this whiskey.
And you were on K&L, and were you just browsing, or were you looking specifically for French whiskey?
I was not. I was looking for French fringe wines for a dinner we were having, and I just happened to see this, and I was like, actually, I was looking for that, and I was looking for that Redbreast Lustau edition. And somehow, through one of those searches, this came up. And let me get you the price on this bad boy, because it was not overly expensive. $60.
Nice.
Yeah. It is really, really pretty. Their tasting notes say ripe pear, candied yellow plum, which I've never tasted, but I can imagine it's yummy, and malty grains, 106 bottles. But when I first sipped it, I was thinking more like ginger. So maybe that's where they're, that kind of thing. But it's actually really a nice whiskey. I was really surprised by it. And we served it with like an apricot pastry or something like that. Not a sweet pastry. You know how a lot of European pastries are not sweet. It wasn't a sweet pastry, but it was actually very good at the dinner. It went over really well. And also with Laura made a chocolate cake with a walnut whiskey sauce. And it had a little salt in the sauce, and it went really nice with the whiskey. So, yeah, that's what I've got. But how about you?
I am having Becherovka chilled straight out of the freezer. And Becherovka is something new to me, and I have some information about it that is going to be given to you all by my new friend from Prague, Katerina, and she explains what Becherovka is.
Very nice.
Check it out.
Check it out. Get it?
Check.
Check.
Well, hello. Today we're in Kutna Hora, which is about an hour outside of Prague, and we are asking our guide, Katrina, what the history of Becherovka. Line of 5 challenge. So tell us about this.
Hello. So Becherovka is a traditional Czech herb liqueur, which was originally founded by a man called Jan Becker. He was a doctor, and he found it for his patients who had digestive problems. So it's a secret recipe which is made from special herbs, which is still kept within the family and the factory. And originally it had been taken only by drops, but the people started to like it, so they started to drink it on the rocks. And it's a sort of sweet, bitter. It's very good with tonic, like gin tonic. So they also drink Becherovka with tonic, and then it's called beton, which is the Czech name of concrete. Beton.
That's what I'm having for lunch.
And it's made in the town called Karlovy Vary, Carlsbad, where is a famous spa. There are like 13 mineral springs in this spa, and they say that the 14th mineral spring is Becherovka.
Wow. Very cool. Great 1 to 5 challenge.
And that's really interesting. I've actually had the Beton cocktail. There is a restaurant in Breckenridge called Check It Out, and they serve that cocktail there, the tonic and the Becherovka. And I'd never had it before. It was one of the very first things I think I ever Instagrammed, like 2 years ago.
That is so cool. I mean, I had never heard of it, and what happened was we inquired about it when we saw it behind the bar. And we were at this really cool actually the oldest bar in Prague, and we were waiting for our concert to start because we went to see the Czech Philharmonic.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it was really quite spectacular. All of Prague was. I mean, really, it's where do you start? But anyhow, so the barman gave us a little taste of it. And then we liked it so much that we decided just to get a full pour and sipped on that a little bit, like I am right now. Actually, he took it right out of the freezer, and that's it's either served just as a sipper, or we actually did shots of it with a different bartender. When we asked him, he said it was his birthday, and this was at the Black Angels bar. A few days later, we said, well, happy birthday. We want to buy you a shot. What's your favorite shot? And he says, Becherovka.
Nice.
And so then we had Becherovka shots, and then enjoyed a really sophisticated cocktail. And then when we told him we needed to leave, he said, well, I think I owe you guys a drink. How about another round of Becherovka? So we've had a lot of Becherovka, and we did order the beton. And actually, beton in Czech translates to concrete. And it is now officially the Czech national cocktail.
Oh, yeah.
As of this year.
Yeah. That's very cool, because concrete would be where I would be if I were doing shots of Becherovka in Prague. I don't know how you do it, girl. Good on you.
I don't know either. My liver was not really happy with me by the time I came home.
Well, speaking of bodily functions, let's get back to Bordeaux.
Oh, gosh. Right. Well, the beginning of my trip really was drastically different from the end of my trip, because the beginning of the trip, I was in the fairy tale land of Bordeaux, staying at this, beautiful chateau and going wine tasting every day and having these decadent dinners. And then that kind of ended with the with the marathon. And it was just so funny that when I reflect on this trip, that the beginning was sort of fancy pants, and then the end was, Oktoberfest with, I have to do this for you, Val. Oktoberfest doesn't get better than, look at this.
What the hell? Oh my God.
This was so much fun. My husband bought this chicken hat, and you can see why.
Oh my God, Steph.
Okay. That is how you do that. That's how you do Oktoberfest. And I would
Very
not
good.
dare wear the chicken hat at Chateau Lafitte. Or not, we didn't go to Lafitte. We went to Mouton Rothschild, was the very first. Right off the plane, I went to Mouton. That was quite something. And I do want to tell everybody that I posted quite a few pictures. So if you want to see more details about where I went visiting and all the tra-la-la wine drinking, check out our Wine25 community Facebook page for that. But of all the chateaus that we visited, this is my third time in Bordeaux, actually, and I loved Chateau Pop Clemente. And anyone can go and visit, which is so cool. I had no idea. I thought maybe we had some kind of like special appointment or something, but you can make appointments and the public can go. But the owner is pretty extravagant and has a taste for fine things. And with the name of the chateau being Pop Clemente, named after the Pope, he has a collection of a lot of religious relics. And it's really neat because the experience at the winery is so different than others. You're going and almost looking at like a museum or, in addition to the property and the vineyards and the cellar and everything else. And they were cleaning up a bar mitzvah when we were there on the property. And so, it's being used for all sorts of special events. But what a neat place. And we had a picnic there, which was also great. Of course, so many great wines. And actually, one other lesson that was kind of neat at Pop Clemente was we had a corked wine. And so it was a learning experience for the whole group because somebody's like, this is off. And then we're all like, oh, like this is not good. And so they thanked us and got us a new bottle and stuff. But, even the best chateau sometimes have corked wine.
Oh, it happens. It's nobody's fault.
Yeah. Yeah, so after we left Bordeaux, because I could go on and on, we spent, I think, 5 days there. Then right before we left, we had the marathon. And of course, we're not eating and drinking and prepping in a healthy way for a marathon. And even some of us did probably more walking the days before the marathon than we should have. But anyhow, it was insane. It was just a giant party of people all dressed up from all over the world. So many bands, lots of great music. One thing I didn't realize though, I guess I didn't do my homework necessarily ahead of time, but I didn't realize that the chateau that you run through during the marathon, they actually make a specific wine that's lower in alcohol and fruity just for the marathon. And so you're not drinking any of their special cuvées or, anything that's their regular offering. You're drinking their marathon wine, which is actually in a way somewhat similar to how Oktoberfest makes an Oktoberfest wine just for the festival too. But so that was cool. At least I knew I wasn't drinking really heavy wine.
That's good to know.
But I think it is good to know because I was concerned about it. And so Justin and I split up from the group and we ran over halfway before we started drinking any wine.
Oh, wow.
Because it's 26.2 miles. I mean, it's a long way, And so it took us 6 hours and 30 minutes.
That's pretty
give
good.
Or take a minute.
For stopping to drink.
Yeah, and it was raining, and so it was muddy. It didn't rain the whole time, but the vineyards were just a muddy mess, and our shoes were just trashed. And every once in a while, we'd get to a wine station, and we'd hide under the tents while it was raining and have like an extra serving or two of wine. It was so crazy. And we made friends with all sorts of people and took photos with strangers. There was Darth Vader running with a baguette instead of a saber. It was just hilarious. Justin took a bunch of pictures of me because I was sporting that iconic wines costume. So I was dressed as the wine heroine. And I peed in the vineyards just like everybody else.
So they don't set up porta potties. They just let people pee in the vineyards?
And they've been doing this for 33 years. Yes.
Yummy. Bordeaux, everybody. Yum, yum.
Yeah. There are some porta potties. And yeah, I mean, there's some bathroom situations that some of our other friends, our more conservative friends, went and found the porta potties. But when you need to go, it's not always where there's a porta potty. So there you go.
Okay.
But I had a cape, so that helped, with some privacy.
Right. That's true. That's true. That's a good lesson right there.
Yes. So I would recommend the marathon. I totally would recommend it. And I was lucky because remember when Joe Fattorini was talking about it, it was not hot for us. We had overcast and rain, so it was very cool and comfortable. And I also didn't overindulge in the wine or the food. They actually had a lot of stations that had bananas, fruit, granola bars, kind of normal race food, So the crazy food like oysters, beef, corn, ice cream, all that stuff is right at the end.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was wondering, I'm like, there's nothing about running a marathon that makes me want to stop and have an oyster. And I mean, the most I've ever run is a 10K, so I would never do a marathon. My knees couldn't take it. But even then, at the end, all I wanted was like the orange slices, and then on the way, orange slices or whatever, and then pizza, at the end or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't dare do the oyster, but Justin did. He felt like, I think his FOMO, his fear of missing out, kicked in. And he was like, I got to do the oyster. And I said, I didn't get this far to end up wrecked off an oyster,
right.
So I was like, I am going to finish this race and not have any oysters and not feel bad about it. So, but the gift at the end was a medal, of course. And then they also give you a bottle of wine. It was from Chateau Pop, and it was in a commemorative box with the marathon date and information on it. So that went in our luggage and is now in my ghetto wine cellar basement. So I don't know when we'll open it, but so it's a Cru Bourgeois, but so it's not super exciting, but yeah, so totally. I think that's one and done for me though.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
First marathon, last marathon.
So where did you go from there?
Went to Prague, first time in the Czech Republic, first time in Prague. Gosh, what a beautiful city. Have you been there, Val?
Never.
Oh my gosh, the history and the culture and the beauty, and it was so cool. But, as far as food and wine and geeking out goes, I did love hooking up with our Wine 25 peeps because Mary Lou, who's one of our patrons, she said, well, I should meet up with her friend Barb. And so Barb met up with us at this super cool wine bar called Vinograph, and they specialize in Czech wines. And we just told the Somm to just take care of us. And so we had sparkling all the way through reds, and it was a blast. And the wines were fantastic. I wish I could have brought home a whole case of Czech wines, but so we also went to a jazz club called Nerduta, and even Bill Clinton, when he was in presidency, he played there on the saxophone. And so that was fun. And I already mentioned the Black Angels Bar and Peter, who was celebrating his birthday, and we were having Becherovka. But that was a recommendation from one of our SWE buddies, Lisa, in Scottsdale. So, yeah, it was fun. I really thought that I wasn't going to enjoy the food, and it really wasn't going to be much of a wine scene, but I was wrong. It was a fun food and wine scene, and our tour guide Katerina made it that much better because, then I got her on the mic and she could talk to me more about some cultural specialties.
Okay. And then from there, you went to Oktoberfest. And did you wear your vomit-proof shoes that the We Like Drinking guys are talking about?
No, but I saw those after I came back. I saw them put that on social media. And I actually didn't see anyone vomiting, but the boys in our group who would stay out later than the rest of us came back telling us many stories about vomiting.
Excellent.
So, yeah. So,
I hope listeners, nobody's eating while they're listening to this.
I know, right? Right.
It kind of goes, it's kind of one of those things. It's festival season. And when the We Like Drinking guys talked about it, and then they just showed up in my news feed, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That is just so perfect for where you guys are. Now, I did see a picture of you with a giant mug of beer. Did you finish that thing?
Yeah, they serve only one size, the liter of beer.
No way.
Yes. And
But
they only
it's
serve
lower
one
in
kind of
alcohol,
beer.
right?
I don't know the strength of the beer. I think it's probably kind of normal, like a lager,
So, listeners, Val's a lightweight and has no idea how to have a relationship with a liter of beer. I don't even want to have a relationship with anything over 10 ounces. But, when you go to a restaurant, they're like, yeah, we have a 20-ounce beer. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I weigh $1.25. I can't drink that.
I know.
Like who drinks that much beer? Val does not.
Oh my gosh.
So
yes.
you drank that whole thing?
Of course. Yes.
Girl.
Yes.
Respect.
And then even when you go to the restaurants, that's how they serve it during Oktoberfest as well. Everywhere you go, that's how you get your beer. It's pretty wild. So, and it's more of like a state fair than anything else. I was so surprised because they have all of these roller coaster rides and thrill rides, and at night it's like kind of a cross between Vegas and the biggest state fair you've ever seen. I mean, it's kind of crazy, and the families are there during the day, like from 10 to 4, but then of course it's all drunk people after that, so they did have a wine tent, and I didn't make it to the wine tent. That's a tragedy.
What?
I know, I didn't make it because you're supposed to have reservations at these tents, and so you have a table where you sit and everything else. But towards the end of the night, once drunk people have wandered off, then there's tables available in these tents, and I didn't make it.
And you're the wine heroine.
I know. But
don't they know that?
I needed the costume maybe to take me to the tent. But yeah, so Justin is, I think, already planning his next trip to Oktoberfest. And he seriously had more fun than all 14 of us put together, because we had a large group in Oktoberfest. It was like twice the size of our Bordeaux group. And Justin bought authentic lederhosen. And he was the only one in our group who wore, he bought the expensive lederhosen and the whole outfit with the socks. And
please tell me you got pictures.
Yes. Oh, and video.
Please tell me we could put this in our blog.
Yes.
Would he be okay with that?
Oh, he would love that. Oh my gosh. He'll be immortalized. He'll love it.
Oh my God. Yes.
So yeah. So that's it. I mean, I have so many more stories and details and lots of pictures, but check it out on the Facebook, and hit me up if you want some more details.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's move on to the factoid, because we're about 25 minutes in now, and we want to definitely make sure we get everything in, because this episode is packed full of stuff. But just kind of rewinding, we've got a little recording here from when you were in the Czech Republic about Borchardt.
Yes, Berchik is so cool, and I have Katerina to tell you guys all about it.
Today we're walking through Prague's Old Town Market, and I'm going to have Katerina explain what the Burcak is.
Okay, so Burcak is a very young wine. It's the wine of this year, which a part of it is in purpose not put in bottles, but it's fermented. And it has to be drunk not cold, but actually it's warm and it's sparkling. And it's also quite sweet because they don't remove any sugar, they just leave it as it is. It contains a lot of vitamins, so it's very healthy, but you have to be careful and drink only a small amount of it because it tastes like a lemonade. So people just drink. If you drink more, then you would have troubles everywhere. But they say that it's very good for you to drink it at least once in a year, which is now the time, like mid-September, and that it's very healthy and it cleans your organism. But you cannot put it in bottles because it's still very active and all the chemical processes are in. So if you put it in a bottle, the bottle could explode. So you have to drink it immediately.
Is it low in alcohol?
It's low as a wine, so it's not that low in alcohol. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, very well.
It reminds me of almost like a Vino Novello or a Beaujolais, but you said it's only partially fermented.
Yeah, it's only partially fermented. And before I knew what it was or even how to say it, I saw it in this giant vat at a grocery stand. So it was like fresh fruit, figs, all this stuff. And then this huge vat of this liquid. And I didn't know what it was. And then these smaller plastic bottles of it. And so I asked the salesperson what it was, and he didn't really know how to explain it to me. He was just like, it's Berchik, And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, can you write that down for me? And he's like, yeah. And I said, can I have a taste? And he gave me a taste, and I didn't know what it was. And I immediately thought it tasted kind of like kombucha. Or like a lemonade, because it was a light color. So it's, more of like a white wine, like an infant white wine. And so I never saw it again because I wanted to get some more. After I asked Katerina, I pointed to my notes. I said, what is this? I had tasted some. And so then I recorded it for everybody.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's just a factoid. Now people know what Burcak is.
So that's something you'd have to go there and experience, like a lot of things.
Yeah, like a lot of things. Reasons to travel.
There you go.
What's on the wino radar, Val?
Well, I can't really say what I said about it because I was like, effing this. We've already had one nice little explicit episode here, and we'll have more, we promise. But what's on my wino radar is Jordan Winery's at it again. And I know we had Lisa Matson on here a couple weekends back, and she does all the video storytelling for Jordan, and she's so brilliant at these. And she came up with another parody. Remember we talked about Despacito and Batallado, and now she's got this parody song called "The Shape of Cab," and it's a parody of Ed Sheeran's "Shape of You."
So funny.
And it is so funny. And she gave me permission to play a little bit of it, but the words are kind of like, I'm in love with a cab that's smooth, soft like velvet and goes with food, full of dark fruits, black, red, and blue. I'm in love with cab's body. And then she goes on about how, girl, I want that cab. The wine was handmade for somebody like me. Uncork it now. The lyrics are genius, and it's done in the same.
Oh, it's really funny to watch the video too, because when you watch it and you hear the lyrics, I mean, you can't help but smile and shake your head. It's just such a fun play on words. And like where it says, decant, 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 decant.
Yeah, uncork, 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 uncork. I'm in love with Cap's body. Decant, decant. And it's like, pour it, pour it, pour it. And it's just so cute. So thank you so much, Lisa, for giving us permission to play this for our listeners.
Napa isn't the best place for wine to balance. Sonoma is where I go. Me and my girl at home, sipping red, tasting wine and loving them slow.
so hilarious.
Oh my God. Thank you again, Lisa. And Jordan Winery, that is some brilliant stuff. I mean, so we'll put that in our show notes for you guys. We hope you enjoy that. And let's get on to the shout outs.
Yes, I have a lot of shout outs, but I'm going to select a few and the rest will be in the blog for everybody to check out. I want to start off by thanking Ken and Denise for planning the Bordeaux trip. That would have never happened if Denise wasn't celebrating her 40th birthday and Ken wasn't retiring. So thank you guys so much. And our driver in Bordeaux, Timothy, he was so much fun. And we would jam out with his music while we were driving around. That was awesome. I also want to thank Lynn Gowdy and her husband, Mark. They met up with us twice. And we had a lot of fun with them and shared an experience at Point Rouge with a somm there. Her name's Fiona, that was like knocking our socks off. So that was 5 hours of pure pleasure. Wow. And yeah, and so that was really cool. And I also want to thank Mary Lou again for introducing me to her friend Barb in Prague. And one last thing, Susan and Mark, who planned the Oktoberfest trip. Susan and Mark retired, and Susan's initials, S, and Mark is M. They created a T-shirt just for all of us to wear at Oktoberfest that says S&M World Tour, and it has handcuffs on it for S&M. It is hilarious. And so it says, all pleasure, no pain.
Oh, how cute.
Oh, my God. And so anyways, it's a list of everywhere they're traveling on their retirement vacation. And we got to represent them at Oktoberfest. So that was cool. So that's my shout outs.
So Susan and Mark are retiring. But did you say Ken was retiring too?
Yes.
And congratulations to Ken as well. Congratulations, guys. Welcome to the dark side from one retiree to another. So it's fabulous. You get to drink whiskey in the middle of the day. I mean, who doesn't love that?
Nobody.
But nobody, right?
Yeah.
But what else we love are our patrons. And thank you for supporting us on Patreon, our crowdfunding platform. So to our tenacious tasters, Jeff E. from the We Like Drinking podcast, Lynn from the Savor the Harvest blog, Sebastian of Sassy Italy Tours, Jen in Maryland and the world, according to her Instagram feed. You guys got to check it out. She's traveling all the time. Dave and Lisa in Illinois. And the It's Not 5 o'clock and We Don't Care listeners in California. We have John. We have Andrew. We have Azwani. And then in South Dakota, we have Meg. In Arizona, we have Clay. In Ontario, Canada, we have Chantel. In Pennsylvania, we have Mary Lou. In Georgia, we have Kathy. In Colorado, we have Chris and Janet. We have Diane. In Illinois, we have Steve and Renee. Kathy's in Tennessee. And Ashley's in North Carolina. And it's crazy. You guys are all over the place. Our Tastemaker listeners, well, they're in Scotland. David and Carol's in Kentucky. And our Winetastic listener, Laura. You guys can go to our Patreon page for more details. Patreon.com/Wine to 5 podcast on how to be entered into our monthly drawing, exclusive content, and kick butt swag.
And you can connect with us in between episodes every week on social media. We are at Wine25 pretty much everywhere. So we encourage you to also join our private Facebook group called Wine25 Community. And you can connect with Miss Val on Twitter at WineGalUnboxed and as Vino the Val on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. You can connect with me on Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram as The Wine Heroine. So until next week's episode, cheers!
Thank you for listening to the Wine to 5 podcast. Be sure to check us out at Facebook/WineTWO5 and tune in next week for more fun and useful sip tips.